Hey, today I'm gonna show you how to make Meerkat. What that is basically a post-exploitation PowerShell script. What it does is, after you have compromised the machine, then you have to do some recon on the machine and the network. So what it's gonna do is basically automate that process. So from like the compromised machine, it's gonna search for system info. It's going to look for users, applications, especially security tools like antivirus tools. It's also going to go in the folder directories and files and try to see if it can recover any safe passwords. And while it's doing that, it's also going to try to look for SSH keys, RDP files, and VPN configurations. It's going to use system info, but other commands to see if it can, check if there's any way to escalate our privileges on the machine. And we're also going to try to incorporate Mimikatz into this tool. And then for the network enumeration, it's going to try to look for open devices, open ports, shared folders. It's also going to check if the compromised machine is a part of an active directory, and then it's also gonna try to do network sniffing to see if there's any other maybe passwords we can find or connections or IPs that we can look for and dive deeper in. Before we start, I want to give thanks to this page. It helps with trying to enumerate if the compromised machine is a part of Active Directory. Also, this YouTube video that shows us how to capture packets using Windows tools and not relying on other tools like Wireshark or TCMP dump. Also, this GitHub repository. This is more like a beginner way of getting into privilege escalation. It just gives you the basics and some commands you can run. So we already made the file, the PowerShell file. This is a logo for the script. I just like making logos for all the scripts I really do, just to give it some personality. So I feel like we should start off with some of the network and then get into more of the compromised machine, as I feel like the network part will be easier to do. We can start off by we'll create the two functions, machine recon. So to enumerate the machine, see what we can find. So that's the function. We're going to do the parameters. And I'm going to create another function called ping devices and ports. Yeah, okay, so this function we're going to use to just do some compromised machine enumeration. And for this one, it's actually going to be part of a network function, but I'm going to just make this its own function. It's going to ping for devices and ports to see which are active and which are open. So, and to call, well, this isn't really a tutorial on PowerShell, but to call functions, we just put the name. Alright, so like I said, we're going to focus more on the network part in this video. So for the machine function, we can just put systeminfo.exe, so we can at least get some basic information of the machine. But what we're going to focus on today is pinging devices and ports. So first we need a subnet. This will depend on the kind of network that you are on. If it's either a class A or class B or class C network. More into this program, we can probably run a command that will get IP config, so we can get all the network information, and then just get the subnet and then just put it in here. But for now, we're just going to use this as our placeholder. We're also going to make a dictionary called active devices. And so what this is going to let us do is basically, if we do find an active device or we do find an open port, we can just put it in the dictionary and then just either print that out or just pull that information into another function. Looks good here. Alright. It's probably just giving me these errors because I haven't used the variables yet. And then we're going to make another variable called ports to scan. So this is going to be just a list of the most common ports. More going to focus on connection and internet ports. The reason I'm doing that is because we could, scan ports 1 to 1,000, and that will probably give us more and better results than just making a list of ports to scan. So it can be a list from 1 to 1,000, but if someone is on the network, if they're using a packet capture tool or a different security tool to see the traffic on the network, they're going to see one specific device pinging all the devices 1,000 times. So if it's 10 devices on the network, that's already 10,000 pings. That's probably going to overload, and it's going to look very suspicious. So what I think we're going to do is just make a list of the most common ports and then just use that, so we can reduce the number of pings we're giving to each devices, because we're already going to ping all the devices, and that's already enough traffic. So we don't want to double the traffic, triple the traffic. This script isn't very much of a stealthy script. It's more of a just it does the job script. For more stealthy scripts, we're gonna have to do more complex functions and use complex commands, which we can probably do in the future. But for now, this script is just just for it to do the job, basically. So now that we have all the variables, we can do write host. We're just gonna print out output just to see where we're at. So we can put pinging devices, just to see that we're starting to ping the devices. And what we can do is a for loop. The subnet, I did not complete it because we need the last number, and I'm gonna put it in the for loop so it can just ping all the IPs available on that subnet to find all the active ones. So we're gonna write a for loop. Other programming language usually use these signs, but PowerShell is different. It uses characters. So I'm not really a big fan of them, but that's what they decided to do. So alright, yeah, so I is gonna act as this. The maximum number of IPs is 254, so that's the maximum. And what we're gonna do is do that, and if test connection dash computer name IP, and I'll explain what it's doing in a second. Alright, so what this is going to do is basically it's going to run this command. This command is, it tests the connections. There's an argument called computer name. In the argument, you put the IP address that you want to ping. You can also add an argument called count to how many packets you want to send to that, to that device. I only put one, so I mean, we're not generating a lot of traffic. Normally it's 3, but I'm just going to put 1. So I'm going to put quiet so we can reduce the output in this script. Also, I'm going to show it in PowerShell so you can get a more clear idea of what this command does. Alright, so I'm going to ping my own computer. Alright, yeah, so enter, true. That's with the quiet variable. But if we do not put the quiet variable, it's going to show us that, it's true that this device is online. So when we do this, it's going to give us a true or false. True if the device is active, and false if it's not active. So that's why we had to put it in a if loop. If this condition is true, we're going to use the dictionary that we made, and we're going to put it in the dictionary. Alright, so we're going to get this. Oh, wait. Oh, I forgot. I haven't even made the IP variable yet. Alright, so IP equals subnet. Alright, so this variable is going to make the IP address. So it's going to get the subnet and then just add I to it. So it's going to be 10.0.0.0, 10.0.0.1, and then, as far as it gets to this number. So then if it is true, if the device is online, it's going to take the dictionary that we put. We're going to put the IP as a key. And then at the same time, we're going to make a value for the key, which is that open IP. And we're going to put a list. The reason we're going to put a list is because first, we're going to test the connection of the devices. And second, after we see all the active devices, we're going to try to ping them. And devices most of the time have multiple ports open. So if one device has 6 ports open, we can just put all those 6 in the list. We're also gonna write, we can also write another write host, so we can actually, see what's going on. Being like, put IP active, so we can, get the output that this, IP is active. So we're done with that, and now basically just ping all the devices, get the ones that are active, put them in the dictionary. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take those active IPs, and then we're going to look for ports on them. So we're going to write now I wrote port scanning found devices because after we're done writing this one, we're also gonna try to scan for ports on devices that are not active, because sometimes the firewall on computers block the ICMP packets. It's default by the firewall if a computer outside the local access network is trying to ping them. But sometimes, and most of the times, when a computer is on the same network, it lets them ping them because they kind of give them more trust since it's on the network and it's not really from the internet. So first we're going to try to see the ones that we did find, and then we're going to try to ping every single IP ports that we didn't find. And if we see a port that's open on an IP that was not active, well, we're going to add the IP and the port to the dictionary since now we know that they're also active. So we're going to take all the devices on active devices, and then we're going to take every port of ports to scan, and we're going to test for connection on every single one of them. So for each devices in now I'm going to use keys. The reason is because, well, the IP is a key, the ports are values. If you just put this, it's going to think that you want the IPs and the ports, and it's not really going to make sense if you're testing for ports on a port, you know? So we just want the keys. I'll just put device. And we have to make another for loop for the ports. For each port in ports to scan. Now there's two different ways we can do this. There's this way. It's really similar to the first one we did when we tried to do for net connections. Net connections. Yeah, so it's really similar to a test connection, but right now it's going to be net connection. It's going to be the same argument, computer name with the IP, but this time we're going to add a port argument and we're going to give them the port. So what this does, it is tries to do a TCP connect, and it's going to do a ping test. To be honest, I feel like this is better. I mean, it failed, but you know, I feel like this is better because some other tools try to do different protocols, but TCP normally isn't blocked on ports, so we would get more results. So that's one way of doing it. But if you think about it, you saw how long that took. Imagine how scanning. I mean, right now we just have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right now we just have 6 ports. But whatever we just waited right now, times 6 times the number of active devices, it's going to take a really long time. So what we could do is scan a lot of ports really fast. And to do that, it's a little bit more complex, but it's way faster and it's like worth it. So we're going to create a variable called socket, which is basically just like a ping. You're going to try to connect to something, which in this instance is a port. I'm going to use system.net sockets .tcp client. I mean, right now we're looking for a TCP, but you could also add UDP ports on this if you wanted to, you know, see if there's some other devices. Alright, connect async. Now connect async is gonna allow us to just scan these ports really fast. Instead of the test net connection, which is just one by one by one, the connect async is gonna make us connect it faster, so we can waste less time and scan per time. So we're going to put the device port, and we're going to wait. This also helps us make it really fast, because wait 100, you're not waiting 100 seconds or 100 minutes or 100 hours. You're waiting milliseconds. So if you wait 100 milliseconds, I mean, that's way faster than a second. So that's going to make the speed really fast and better. So now we rate that, and then now I have to write a if statement, because so like net connection gave us a true or false. This is also going to give us a true or false. So we're going to write if socket dot connection. So if the connection was successful and the socket is connected to that, we're going to write host port is open on, and we're going to write the device. Alright, yep. So now we can add that, and then we're going to close the socket, because if we don't, then I mean that socket, it's either going to be left there connecting for a really long time, or until the device shuts down, or it's going to hang. And I mean, both of those instances aren't really that good. And so now we pinged for devices, found active devices, put them in a dictionary, scan for ports on the active devices, and put them in the dictionary. Let me put them in the dictionary right now. So we're going to do active devices. We're going to call the key, which is a device or IP, and then we're going to take that port that we found that was open, and we're going to put it and add it to the list. So now that we have that, we have the active devices and their open ports. So now we're going to try to port scan all the devices that weren't on the active devices dictionary to try to see if we can find more. So we're gonna write another for loop, same as this one, so we can get all the IPs. Right. So we got that, and then we're gonna check if the IP that we made is a key on the dictionary. If it is, that means that we already found it and we don't need to include it again in the dictionary, because then we're going to have duplicates. So we're going to write if active devices dot contains key. So if it has this key, which is IP, we're going to say just skip this line of code, don't go to this line of code. Right. So now if it's not a key, if it hasn't been listed as active, we're going to write another for each loop for all the ports on the list. Port in ports to scan. And we're basically going to do the same as this. So we can just copy and paste it. But one thing we are going to add is since this will only run if the IP is on the dictionary, we're still going to have to add it as if we're adding it for the first time. So this, we're gonna have to change it to IP, since that's what we labeled it as. Do active, and then like this. And then we're also gonna have to add the port to the list. And that should be all for it. We close it, and we should also add another output, a print one, to see the dictionary. So we're gonna write host. Actually, we need a for loop for the dictionary. So for each device in active devices dot get enumerator. So what the dot get enumerator function is going to do is basically, here we just got the keys, right? Here we were just looking for the keys. We weren't looking for the values. What this does is that it gets the keys and values, and we need that so we can print the IP next to all the open ports it has. So now in this for loop, we're going to write alright, so this is going to make us get the devices.keys. And we need to specify that it is a key because, like I said before, we're getting the keys and values. So we need to tell the computer, do we want the keys or do we want the values? I'm going to copy this because we're also going to have to write the ports. So you can write open ports value. So, and since the value is going to be a list, it's going to come out as a list, which is not really a clean way of outputting a list. So instead, we're just going to use dash join and then split it with a comma. So then instead of a list, we're just going to get number, comma, number, comma, which is going to be way easier to read. We're also going to write just a new line, so it can be spaced out more. And that should be it for the scanning devices and ports. For part 2, we're probably going to try to enumerate if there is shared folders or if the AD status is active, and then we're going to see how and where we can make a file so we can get all the network traffic, put it in the file, and then just read the file or try to transfer it to another location. We're probably going to have to use CDM, but I mean, that's it for now. And in part 2, that's what we focus on. And then on part 3, which will probably be split into 2 other episodes, we're going to get just the local enumeration, and then we're going to try to see if we can, how many files we can get to basically, and then use privilege escalation while also trying to use Meerkats. I'll try to see if we can maybe cut the source code of Meerkats and then blend it in with other code, so the antivirus software that comes with Windows Defender doesn't block it. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what we can do with that. And